G'day, mate. Welcome to Friday Facts 337. We've got statistics, GUI, and a mod debugger. And I don't know, have your statistics been updated, Mojo?
Yeah, yes, they have.
Okay.
They're always up to date.
But your GUI isn't
Except when
updated
they're
yet?
not.
No
Nope.
updated GUI? No? Okay.
No.
Alright, so we got I don't know where to start with this Friday Facts. There's two halves. There's a nice update half, and then the hella complicated half at the bottom half that we'll get to shortly. So, we have the statistics GUI. Now, this was updated by Twinson, what? Just over 12 months ago?
This was updated for 17, but it was also updated for like 16 as well. It's been updated a few times over its life.
I think we got the version we got now, which looks way better.
It's basically the 16 version, I want to say, but I might have had it wrong.
And then I thought Clonan was working on a way to remove peaks, average out some of the peaks that you had in the production stats. But then I never saw that update.
I remember that.
I never actually saw that hitting the game. Clonan? No, Kovrix was doing it. And I don't ever remember seeing that. Because I still remember that, like, you know, if you're looking over a 1 minute or a 5 second production graph, you can still have massive peaks and valleys in your stats.
Yeah.
Actually, the third picture, fourth picture, whatever it is, shows exactly that. So, they've updated again. Given that the relatively short time frame for 1.0 release, the update of the statistics GUI has just been a style update. No new features or heavy logic rewriting. Oxid has done most of the work done. So happy to show some real in-game screenshots of how it looks, which is not normal for Woob. Normally, it's some sort of mock-up, but
yeah, this is
one of those.
I mean, it is only a small change, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
they're able to show it.
I think this is one of those small times that's like, we could do a mock-up, or we could just code it out, and it's probably going to be just as quick to code it out to actually then spend the time in Photoshop doing a mock-up. But yeah, like, it's a fairly basic change. It does add and simplify things somewhat. So we've got the electric info, which now has your satisfaction, your production, and your accumulator charge, and it actually has the amount of power actually written inside those bar graphs, which is a good change. I really wish the satisfaction and the production they use different words, because production makes sense, more like current usage, and satisfaction should be like, you know, maximum potential capacity or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's always been pretty vague.
Yeah,
how that works.
And sorry about that, I dumped OBS right in the middle of the screen. Yeah, it's needed something for a long time now, and I think this would have been the prime opportunity to just change that wording slightly.
At the very least, it gets rid of all that dead space that's at the top of the old window.
It does. It better utilizes the space, and I think it looks a little bit more current. With the rest of the GUI.
It reflects more of what the game currently looks like.
Yeah. So that's small change for electric network. Then we actually have the main production graphs, and again, small graphical change. I think it looks better, and it's just brings it more in line with the rest of the GUI in the game as it currently stands. So we got production, 1 hour chart, 50-hour chart, which still has those massive peaks and valleys. We can still search and select, we've got, what's this? Iron plate to iron ore, and copper ore to copper wire, which is a weird thing to compare one to the other two, but okay.
Yeah, if you're making a lot of copper wire, maybe it's a marathon game.
Maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's your 10 circuits a minute. Your 2,000 copper ore going in, and your 3,200 copper wire going in. It's like 10 circuits a minute in the expensive mode.
Yeah, the silly expensive mode. We're not even going to go there. The production stats are pretty much the same functionality-wise. One button you might notice, you might spot, is the search button. Now, do we have a search button currently?
No.
No. Don't we? I thought we did.
No. No, there's no search functionality.
No, but you can, as we saw in the screenshot above, you can click to select and highlight one item over another, which I hope they add the functionality to in the All tab. Just saying. I'd like to select my copper ore or something more obscure, like, we've got here, you depleted uranium cells. Select that, and then if you swap from 50 hours to 10 hours, it still keeps that one item highlighted, but doesn't keep it highlighted when you go to the All tab, which means you then got to go through your all production for the whole game and find that one item again, because that's the thing you're curious on. So yes, we have a search button, which is definitely needed. Because trying to find your 6 science packs in the great list of things that you made in the last 10 minutes is difficult at best.
Or trying to highlight them all.
Yeah, trying to highlight them all or find them all to click them to highlight them is really, really difficult. But they have noticed a few things. So, some problems with search feature. As you can see, production and consumption frames have different search boxes independent of each other. The main problem was with pressing Control F to perform a regular search. How do you know what frame to open? And they do say that, you could press Control F to open the first one, then Control F a second time to open the second one. There are different options. But yeah, to solve this, we decided the simplest way to go is just use the one search box in the header of the panel. This new location works as a general feature for the entire panel. One single search gives you 2 results, 1 on each frame. Solutions use the new character window to come soon, making it consistent for the whole design of the GUI. Which I agree with. I know they've got the search up there in a lot of the GUI panels. The problem is it's fairly hidden. Like, I gotta admit, I don't ever hit the X button on any of these panels. I hit Escape or Q or, click off the panel on the background of the game to make the panels disappear. So I don't look up.
Yeah, because we were always trained to do that, because that's how the old Windows used to work. Old game GUIs and Windows used to work, was they didn't have a close button. You had to press E or Q or what?
Yeah.
Before E or Escape.
E, Q, Escape, something. Hell, you could just walk away from them, and when you covered enough distance, they disappeared.
That's true.
So, I admit a lot of that is training, but on top of that, like, it's something that's just default to games, that if you press Escape, whatever you're looking at goes away. And I still see people play, like Oxygen Included, in other games where if they've got a GUI up, you'll see that you'll see that they press Escape and they press it one too many times because the main menu pops up. And you can just see that that's inherent learned behavior over many, many hours.
Over many
games.
Many games, even.
Yeah. So, that, and if you look at a default Windows experience, because I know Apple's in the top left still, isn't it? Or has Apple finally joined the Windows side and put close and minimize in the top right?
I always remember OS X being top right.
I thought it was top left. No idea.
I can't remember now.
I know Windows stole it from Mac OS first, the original Mac OSs, and then I have a feeling that Safari or something changed it to the top left to make Macs unique or something, or maybe I'm just remembering everything backwards. Doesn't matter. Up there you normally find close and maximize and minimize. I don't ever remember any normal application I ever use that has search in the top right hand corner. At least a button I have to click on to open search. So, yeah, I really hope the other 2 search buttons stick around. Only, even if I Control F and it just opens the one top right hand corner that searches across both panels, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I really hope the other ones stick around because they're easy to see. Yeah, that's pretty much my only comments for this one. That, and they added kills filing to the same tab as...
Yeah, they got rid of that stupid separate window.
Well, pollution... Was pollution a separate tab at one stage?
I think it was part of kills or something originally.
I think... I don't know, maybe I'm remembering
I really
wrong.
can't remember.
I think when it was first released, it was under P for pollution. and then it got
P for
incorporated.
production.
Yeah, P
And
for
then K
production.
for kills.
Yeah, okay, so it was on a P for production. It was already logged in with the other ones, but kills.
Yeah, it was always there.
Yeah, kills was always separate. Is this when we blow somebody's mind out there and say if you press L, it lists all your Logi networks, and you can select
TIL.
different. Yeah, and you can select different Logi networks because it's a Factorio feature that you probably don't know about unless you happen to have been there for the Friday Facts where it was introduced, and you read it in the Friday Facts and you've used it since. What other weird keyboard commands are there? I don't know any ones off the top of my head. M for map. M for map, K for kills, L for Logi network, P for production stats.
Q for pipette.
Q for pipette. There's no button. There's no keyboard command to open the electrical network, which I've always found interesting.
You always have to click on a power pole, but the reason for that is because there's going to be multiple electric networks. So if you have a button, it assumes that there's only one electrical network.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to bring up? The last one you had open? The first one you built?
Same as the Logi network. Give me a drop-down list. That way I know that there's a disconnect in my power network and I can go fix it.
I suppose that would actually tell you that you got multiples.
Yep, just saying, because there is more than once I've accidentally separated a power network, but because I have generators on 2 different networks, everything kept running and I had no idea until one of them browned out. And then I'm like, oh, there's a power pole missing. Dumped in a power pole and suddenly all the problems go away. But yeah, so that's pretty much the first half of the Friday Facts. Small GUI update. Hopefully it'll be in the Tuesday update that hopefully comes on the Tuesday, if it comes on the Tuesday. Next one we have is the Community Spotlight Mod Debugging and Instrument Mode. And this is by just a random geek. And this one is... Okay, first off, if you're not into modding and not into the Factorio code, bye. Thanks for watching. Do hope you had a lovely Friday Facts. We'll see you in the next episode. That pretty much sums that up, right, Mojo?
Pretty much. This only applies to people who are really into their
modding and how the code works. So, this is... I've done a bit of dabbling in the Lua code, and I know you have too, Mojo. And the biggest issue when you're running Factorio Lua code for a mod is really the only way to test it is to open the game. And
just write some code, you open the game, and then wait for the notice to come up saying there's an error or an exception.
Yeah, to wait for a notice that you broke something. And it's always your fault, and it's never Factorio's fault, and you need to fix it, which applies in 99% of cases. There is that occasional 0.1% of a case where Factorio is actually broken, and if you lodge a proper bug report, Arsene will see it, and he'll fix Factorio for you.
And still blame you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, like, why do you need a stack inserter to move more than 200 items, right, in one swing? That's ridiculous. No.
I was going to say, actually, like 99% of the times it's your fault, not Factorio's fault. It's because you're competing against our seeding there.
Yep.
There's only a 0.01% chance that you're going to be right.
Is it that high? Okay, so...
At best.
Yeah. So this is pretty much the only way to write a mod. And even when you've written a mod, you need to then get it to run through every bit of code in the mod to confirm that all of it works. And if that's like... If it's modifying an inserter to just do a 90-degree spin rather than a 180 spin, you then need to double check that it works 90 degrees in every different possible rotation of every belt, underground, assembler, box, bot, tank, train, every combination you can think of, because I guarantee you somebody is going to try and use it in a combination you haven't thought of and then present you one of these crash logs and go, here, you need to go fix it. And that's pretty much how Lua coding works for mods. And the only thing you can really do is, if you can't work out what you've done wrong, is just a random geek writes here, you can sprinkle log or game print around it and try and figure out what the hell is going on. And what happens is inevitably you forget to clear out all of these log lines out, because I have seen many mod updates where there's been in the
Removing
changelog.
code.
Yeah. Removing logging code from the changelog is just that's the only update that was between version 1.1 and 1.2, because they left some log code in.
The smart ones, they actually have a global variable which they have to enable, which enables logging, and it lets all the log commands
Yes,
function.
but I have seen. I think I might be laying blame here, but I want to say Lord Couture's Train Supply Manager mod launched with that still enabled. And I think it was a debugging option you had to turn on in the settings, and it was enabled by a default. And again, it was this version of that version. The only change in the changelog was removing, enable debugging as default option. Because he just overlooked it, and that happens, and we all do it, and it all happens. Like, I accidentally released Oxygen Included episodes in the wrong order this week because episode 14 wasn't important, and I overlooked it. But 15 went out. 13 went out. 14's just going to go out late. Yes. So yeah, for the last few months, he's been working on a debugger to improve this experience. The first step is spend more time within the Lua debug library and VS Code's debug adapter protocol, making introductions to get them talking to one another. VS Code can launch Factorio and attach itself to the console and inject commands as needed to read and manipulate the state of the running code. This gets VS Code's debugger interface with all the pre-built-in tools for displaying variables, setting breakpoints, and stepping through code. But there's a catch, and there's a big one, and it's the way Factorio sandboxes mods. The debugger, which itself is a mod in part, can't actually get your mod to install all these hooks. The first solution is to empty a line to load the debugger, but this puts us right back where we started with log brackets, and you put something in for the debugger and then forget to remove it. To solve this problem, we need a little help from the API and a way for a mod to hook into every other mod. Blah, 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 blah. Our seeding helped. They arrived at instrument mode, which released in 10 or 18.10, a special mode which allows a mod to hook all Lua instances Factorio creates at the cost of disabling multiplier and only allowing one instrument at once. Provides a hook for a better version of a break on exception, which basically means he wrote a mod to mod mods.
Yes.
And also it lets you, as far as I understand, it lets you step through the code line by line. So rather than you back up here, he has, on control.lua line 333, he could step all the way through to line 332 and then step line 333 in, get an error, and then on the fly, rather than having to close Factorio, which has already crashed, change the code, reopen Factorio and see whether he's fixed it, he could just change the code for that one line and re-inject it into Factorio and see if it magically works. And
yeah,
I think that's really the biggest thing, because I know, even with my limited modding experience, that waiting for Factorio to open and close, even with all the cache options turned on and everything else,
still a lot of time.
It does take a lot of time. I spend more time looking at the Factorio opening and closing screen than anything else.
Assuming that you change something and it doesn't break the loading.
Well,
I've done that before.
If it breaks, what you mean, as in Factorio hard crashes?
No, as in it throws an exception when it tries to load the mod.
That's perfect. That's the best time for it to crash. That means you didn't waste all the time for it to get in, load to the main menu,
the game again,
click
and
start,
load up the map again or whatever.
Yeah. So it's better when it crashes early. So as far as I understand, his mod debugs other mods. And yeah, he can step through all the lines of the code one at a time. And then I do have a comment. Okay, so we do have multiplayer has been disabled, which makes logical sense because it's stepping through the code line by line. It would automatically desync with anybody else who has joined.
Yeah, the whole determinism thing would be completely broken.
Yeah. And I think, and the only thing I can work it out, the only reason I can bring it down to is a settings put an artificial limit on only having one instrument mod running at once. Because I can't see a reason for you only having a limit of one, but then again, I can't see I can't foresee a situation where a second instrument mod would need to exist. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't need to
can't
exist.
see why. At least how I understand it, I can't see why you'd want to. And the two would probably interact with each other as well, in very bizarre and unpredictable ways.
And yeah, I do have a couple of notes from Muppet. He says his mod is also a proper dev piece of work and not a mod in the usual sense. So it's more in par with a contribution towards source code features than a typical mod. He did have to have some changes to the source code, and Muppet seems to indicate that Just a Random Geek has source code access, because some of the modders do actually have access to the original.
Some of the special few, yeah.
Yeah, some of the special few have access to the Factorio source code. So that allows them to debug their own mods as well as make suggestions for changes to the source code. Hopefully for the improvement of Factorio, but also for allowing more APIs to be built for mods to hook into the Factorio engine. So yeah, that's pretty much it for it. Like, it's one hell of an accomplishment, and I guess, well, I'm hoping it will help out a lot of modders, but unfortunately it goes way over my head. Way over my head.
It's a thing that's useful to the people who know what it means.
Yeah. So I'm glad it got highlighted in the Friday Facts. I also technically pointed out at the same time that, hang on, does this mean that we're taking, we're taking submissions from a community member and mod maker? Does this mean anybody can start making submissions for the Friday Facts? Because that could open up to some interesting Friday Facts in the future. Like, I know Red Mew is about to run another round of biter battles that starts this weekend. Yes. Like, hours. Within 12 hours, this Friday Facts video going out, I will be streaming the next round of biter battles. But yeah, there's been nothing on the Friday Facts. There's been nothing on Reddit. There's been no promotion for it whatsoever. So, does this mean that Woob is now opening up the ability for people to make submissions? Because, yeah, I'd like to see some of the community submissions that come out of that. Nothing Mojo wants to add?
Not really.
Not really?
No comment.
No comment. Okay, well, I guess that's where we're going to leave Friday Facts 337. Hopefully next week we get to see the character GUI that is coming to be soon. Well, we've had a couple of quick and easy Friday Facts. I figure they're going to be holding something good back, and
that's true.
It has to be the new character window to come soon, which is, yeah, we're just going to leave that one there. And yeah, I think that's it. Yes, no, yep.
Yep, no.
Right. Okay.
Indeed.
We're done. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.